Hello, hello, and welcome or welcome back as it is to the Curious Coaches Lemonade Stand. It's our first episode of 2026. Happy New Year to all of you. If you are coming back, you know what we serve up here. And if it's your first time, well, hi. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm your host, Dr. Gena, and this is your virtual friendly neighborhood third spot where you get to drop in, listen to some cool conversations, meet some very interesting people, and hopefully get to sip on something that brings you a little bit of insight, a little bit of zest, and brightens your day. And please, if you enjoy this refreshment, do offer it up to someone else. Don't forget to share, subscribe, hit that like button, and ensure that you get notified the next time an episode pops up. Because, as I said, it's a new year and we've got some fresh interviews with some fresh new interviewees on deck. And who better to start it off with than the amazing Ms. Jessica Mars, who I'm going to hand over to introduce herself right now, an old and dear friend and an overall dynamic human being. Over to you, Ms. Jessica.
Thank you very much for such an introduction. So, I am Jessica Mars, massage therapist, owner of Body by Mars, and a entrepreneur. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And when Jessica says she is a solopreneur, I didn't understand what that word was. It probably has her name beside it in the dictionary because this lady can start businesses like nobody's business. So I'm very excited at the start of this new year today to talk to her about all things entrepreneurial. Because so many people, including myself, in the last few years, or maybe this is your year to do it, have stepped into maybe creating that side hustle, maybe making that side hustle now the center hustle, or doing what Jessica does and just juggling all the hustles at the same time with flair and with grace. So I think it's really important that we kind of tap into what is this entrepreneurial mindset. Like, how would you describe that, Jessica? Because you clearly have embodied it more than anyone else I know from for years and years now.
It's hard for me to say exactly how I even got here, but the best thing I've learned to even describe who I am as an entrepreneur is that once creating the business, the mind keeps creating more ideas for continuous growth. So it never just stops at the one thing. And I feel like that is like the most common trend that you see with entrepreneurs. Like they have a lot of creative juices, right? It's never just, I guess in some way, like we have 10 different things going on in our minds because we're always looking to make it better, better than what it was yesterday, better than what it was last year. It's, continuous growth. I feel like that is the trend that you will typically see for an entrepreneur. We have to be a little bit crazy, like for me, I have thoughts, like I'll go through my day and I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. So like I have like paper and notepads and the odd time I use my notes in my phone because I'm trying to use my phone more often since the phone is something you constantly have with you. But
Yes, I notes app in my phone has got all kinds of madness in there. If anyone were to sequester that, if I was subpoenaed to have my phone open in my notes app, you'd be like, "She's mad." She
yeah,
'cause
yeah,
every idea gets written down in there.
exactly, exactly. So it's one of those things where we have a lot of ideas, but it's all about finding ways to execute them efficiently. So Um, but like I said, the most common thing is we're consistently creative. We always think of what's happening next. And you know what? What we do, I personally will say, what I do it with a passion. Like I don't necessarily go into it thinking it's just going to be okay. Like my thought is it's going to be great. And yeah, yeah, that's how I define it for myself.
I'm so glad you distinguished that. I think that's a really big, important thing of note. You don't just think it's gonna be okay, you think it's gonna be great. Has it always been like that? You've always thought it's gonna be great?
Yeah, yeah. But I will say, as much as I had envisioned greatness, there was also that element of fear that had me become hesitant to actually executing these dreams and aspirations that I had. So there was that stage of, oh, this would be a great idea, but I just never did it until the first time you do something and you realize I am capable of achieving greatness. Then all of a sudden that fear starts to diminish each time you do another task.
Yeah, that's an important thing that it's to recognize that it's like putting in reps. things you call that out. That fear reduces each time you push back against it and say, "Nah, I'm gonna do it anyway."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, you often hear people say, especially those that are in this, entrepreneur mindset, God didn't give you the vision, give everybody the same vision that He's given you. So oftentimes when you are looking for reassurance from other people to confirm that your thoughts of your next project is going to be successful, 9 times out of 10, you may not get it. And you have to be able to work past that, right? Like keep that dream in place and create the plan. But to get reassurance from maybe your inner circle that don't think the same way you do, but you in particular, you see the possibility for it. You have to kind of brush that stuff away and just say, you know what, this is my goal, this is my plan, and this is how we're going to execute it.
Very true. That to me, I'm hearing an incredible level of self-confidence and self-belief.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where does that come from for you?
Ooh, I think there was a point in time where it's like I had reassurance from other people saying, like, "You're really good at what you do," but I had a lot of self-doubt. But
Uh-huh.
the turning point for me, I would say, was the pandemic. I got thrown in the fire. I had 0 opportunities to make money other than through myself. At the time, I should say anything before that, because I've been a massage therapist for 15 years now. Anything before the pandemic, I was reliant on like clinics and we'll call it spas to make my money because that was a safety net that they were continuously feeding me clients. But the moment that the pandemic hit, where, any place I was working at the time, I could have had put a pause on opening up to the public and out of fear, they wanted to take their time and build PPE. And I'm thinking, like, I need to make money now. That's
Huh?
how I ended up saying, "Okay, well, like, the best I can do is put it out there and whatever happens, happens." And from there, it was, like, continuous growth that made me say, "Wow, like, I wish I did this earlier. I really wish I did this earlier," because all the things that I had put in place where fear was concerned before that was wiped away within a matter of, like, 4 months.
So it was like necessity being the mother of invention. You're
Yes.
in that position. It was pivot or
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
So in that fire, you rose under that pressure, it sounds like. And I'm very much duly noting that you said you realized it could have been done earlier.
Oh, yes. Like, if I'm to take a look at my overall career and the steps I've taken, for the most part, I'll say the early stages, I was all about trying to figure out this business, right? How do other places acquire clients? How do they maintain clients? How do they do their billing? Like all that stuff I learned being under the umbrella of a clinic as a contractor. But when I realized things weren't going exactly as I wanted to, and I knew I should have gone about my way, I didn't. I found other ways around it. Like, that clinic wasn't bringing in enough clients anymore. They weren't advertising the way I was hoping for. And so, therefore, the money I wanted and needed wasn't coming in. Instead of me starting to build my own thing, I just went somewhere else
Yeah.
and went somewhere else, right? So, like, I would say, like, especially as a massage therapist, one of our biggest things that we end up doing is we run from clinic to clinic at times when we don't have a facility that can give us everything that we want. And you don't realize, like, I don't need to go from clinic to clinic to make this work because the fear is that if you put yourself out there, nobody comes.
Yeah.
But if you never put yourself out there, how do you even know if they were going to come to begin with? But I will say, like, aside from the pandemic, like one of my biggest shifts was when I was working for, I don't know if I can even say it. I can. I was working for Massage Addict, which is probably the worst place you could ever work as a massage therapist. Mm. No disrespect to those that own a clinic, a business is business. But from a massage therapist standpoint, you put out more energy than you receive in value in return, right? So it's not good for our body long term. However, I was there because I was trying to fill a gap, and the little extra money that I was making made sense to me at the time. But there was a time I had an accident to where I sprained my ankle, my foot blew up, I couldn't work. At least I couldn't work the way I wanted to. Went to the doctor. They're like, Jessica, you know what? It's just a really bad sprain. Stay off your leg. So I told this clinic owner, hey, by the way, I can't work as much as I'd like to because my foot's swollen. And literally, she could look at me and see, like, I look like I had elephantitis. Like my foot was huge. Couldn't put it in a
So
shoe.
it's clearly visible.
Yeah, yeah. And she was just like, well, how about you massage people sitting down? And I'm uh, like,
And you're gonna think you said that. Wow.
and I was like in the nicest way, I was like, this is not going to give good quality to a customer that's looking to
Yeah,
have like
that's the
proper
first thing I
pressure.
thought of.
Yeah. And then I
I
was
don't want
like,
that.
oh,
I want my RMT giving me a massage sitting down, sorry, but just
thank
to be
you.
truthful.
Like, unless you want me to just rub the oil on your back, like that's good. Like, that's fine. But a true treatment is not going to be administered seated the whole time where somebody wants proper pressure. You know what I mean? Or you put yourself in a position where you end up injuring yourself. So
Yes.
after that, she was like, well, how about you work like every other hour? So I stand up for the hour, I go sit down for the hour. So I'm like, so I will spend like the whole day here and basically make like minimal money because you're not paying me for the time that I'm not working. And so this is where I was like, it doesn't make sense to me either. And I could tell she was a little put off by it. Anyways, fast forward to 2 weeks later, like my foot's not getting any better. And everyone's like, you should probably really go to the hospital because this is not looking as good as you think it is. And so I'm like, okay, fine. So at the end of my day, I go to the hospital. Long story short, my foot's broken. And yeah, so I'm on
Oh,
my broken foot for 2 weeks, at which point, like I said, I didn't know everything that should have shown that I had a broken foot. I don't know if my pain tolerance was higher, like certain treatments that was administered to me. They're like, if it's broken, it would really hurt. And I'm like, like it stings a bit, but nothing
that's high pain
crazy.
tolerance kills us, Jessica.
Ah, where was the pain tolerance when I got licks when I was younger? How about that?
Right? That's how we developed it.
But to fast forward to how I ended up moving on is that I left that hospital and got home maybe around 4 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up at the time I was supposed to start my shift, which was 9 o'clock. And like, but I woke up like jumping up. You're frightened because like
No.
the sleep was
I
too.
this
You know
morning,
that
I know
one?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I wake up and I'm calling in a panic. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just woke up. And before I could actually say, I was at the hospital all night, they're like, you know what, Jessica, it's okay. You don't need to come back. Just grab your things. And I said, okay. Like, typically I would normally fight, but I was like, this is the sign. And it was like reinforcing that I know you don't care about me. I am
That's a
a
good
revenue
point to
generator for you. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just a number. I bring in the dollars. That's cool. But you didn't care about my well being. So this is how I was able to part my ways with ease. So that was a Friday. That weekend, I created an ad on Kijiji and I made more money in that week than I did the entire month working for that place. So that was another reinforcement of it's time to go, but the fear was still there, right? So I didn't do it then. I'm one of those people, I'm hard, what they call West Indian culture, hard
Party.
hitters, right? I needed a few licks before I actually made the transition to where I should have been. But, you know, it needed to happen that way. It needed
Huh.
to happen that way. Like I needed to feel it and see it through the way it came because I wouldn't have had this level of drive that I have right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd taken a couple of things from that, and it's very particular to your journey. I mean, one thing that stands out to me, I'll probably come back to it, is the fact that you enjoyed immediate success as
Yeah.
soon as you make a move, and that's
Yeah.
different from a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'll put myself in that boat too, right? So I'll come back to that. But I also want to acknowledge, and it's people always ask me, "What is your PhD in?" It's in social and political thought. So I think socially and politically a lot of the times. And a lot of that drives me to think about what push and pull factors cause people to do the things they do and make the decisions they make. I heard some very interesting push factors as well as pull factors. So the pull that I heard at first was you talking about being a visionary, a creative, someone who has these ideas and believes that they will be great and can conquer the fear and move forward with courage to actually try these things out and launch them. That's a pull factor. I heard some interesting push factors. Like COVID was definitely one, and that's one for so many of us. It disrupted us in so many ways. And the way it specifically impacted you is a very clear example, right? Being a massage therapist, like this is something that, everything from PPE to the fear of your clients coming back. Like there's so many things that are going to directly impact you from that. But that push factor of working somewhere that does not appreciate you, treats you badly, and pays you badly, all the things, all those pushes, I think are highly relatable to people from almost any industry. I can't think of one it wouldn't impact people, right? And the way that push impacted you and then came to a head when you were, in a state of suffering, being injured, and the lack of any kind of empathy or understanding for that.
Yeah.
I think highly, highly relatable. I mean, even as a coach, not quite the same level as an RMT, but also very much a profession that has to kind of shop around for homes,
Yeah.
right? So there's lots of coaching companies, and some of them will pay you. There are many of the massage addicts when it comes to coaching companies that will pay you little or nothing that you can't
Mhm.
even, you can't feed yourself, much less clothe and house yourself off of what they pay you. There are others that pay a living wage, and those are the ones that I would choose to work for. However, you're a number to any of them and all of them,
Yeah.
right? And so that's that safety, that devil, versus do I go out and do this thing on my own? And so
Mhm.
that feedback you got after 1 week on Kijiji, I mean, I can see why you would say, "Why didn't I do this earlier?"
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's it all comes down to, and again, you always, reason why there was also hesitation with Kijiji as an example, like you hear the horror stories about Kijiji, right? Like,
Yes.
or the Craigslist
Yes.
killer type of thing, right? So there, and in my case, I practice out of my home. So there's the element of safety where you're like, I don't know who I'm letting into my house. How do I prepare for this? Like, if I tell you the stories of how I've been able to prepare for the random stranger, especially a male coming to my home that I've never met before, yeah, that's a whole other episode. But, you know, what I
I
will
can't
say.
even imagine because I get nervous with, people coming to buy stuff off Kijiji, and it's a
Right.
male coming to my home when nobody else is home, and I'm not
Yeah,
even inviting them and saying, "Get comfortable and half naked."
you don't know what you're going to encounter because people being people, you can have like a variation of personalities that come your way, you know what I mean? But just even going back to like becoming an entrepreneur, I will say one of the major transitions that even just flicked that switch in my mind to even think entrepreneurship was my transition from corporate. My
Yes.
transition from corporate was like oh, like, you guys really don't care about people. Like, but, like, that was, like, the nail in the coffin, you don't care. Like, I had worked for Bell Canada. I was doing extremely well. Like, money was coming left, right, and center, like, and I was doing it at my leisure. But I even recall when I had got the job at Bell, my mom said, "You sure you wanna work there? All they do is lay off people. Them just lay off a whole," like, I'm so I'm like, "No, no, it's not Canada,
I hate
everything's
it when
good."
they're right.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, you fast forward to years later and you go to work like every other day, and all of a sudden you're like, "Don't log into your computers today." And even when there's a thought of being laid off, because there's always that, the hush that comes over the crowd type of thing, right? Like, so there's the, how would I say it? There's rumors always stirring in a work environment that when they think somebody's gonna, or a group of people are gonna be laid off. So that used to happen in waves. But then at this point, like, the wave has passed and we were all like chilling, thinking life was good. And even when the thought of it possibly happening, it was always like, oh, they're going to lay off 5 people, they're going to lay off 10 people. And I knew for myself, I was the bottom of the seniority list. So it just automatically set me up for, well, if it's going to happen, I know I'm going to be the first one to go based on the department that I was in due to my seniority. But never did I think that walking into the office that day and they said, don't log into your computers today. We have a meeting. And they said, effective immediately, everybody. So not the 5, not the 10, it was like the 40 something people. And I sat there like, So it didn't truly hit me yet, but I'm looking around and everybody else, and they're crying. Like, tears are
Wow.
coming down, and I get it, like, from I do react to things differently, so I will say I don't necessarily judge how they reacted, they have a valid reaction. Your paycheck is going to make you and your family survive, right? And I'll add to that, I had just closed on my home 2 months before that by myself. So, it hit me, but I don't know if it's the state of shock, whatever it was, but it was in that moment I said, "I will never work for anybody else again."
Mm.
Or at
Yeah.
least I'll never let them have that control over me. So
At that point, had you thought about becoming an entrepreneur previously? Had it ever, entered your realm of imagination?
so I used to do like personal training here and there privately. So, but that was the quote unquote side hustle, right? Like, yeah, that side hustle, I tell people, side hustle is a term we use to give us comfort when we don't get all that we want out of it, right? Like it can't sustain us fully. But I feel like it's just like I said, it's a comfort zone that doesn't require us to commit fully to
Mhm.
that goal that you have. It's okay if you only have 1 or 2 clients because it's your side hustle. It's okay if you don't do anything this week because it's your side hustle. But if it's your main hustle, you work differently. And your side hustle can become your main hustle. It's just all I truly believe it's all about mindset, right? Like,
That's really hitting me between the eyes. I'm all about synchronicities, Jess. And I was watching a tarot reader this morning, and she was saying, and I've heard this message many times before, but it's the fact that you're saying it again right now. People with plan B don't succeed at plan A. And that resonates a lot for me because I'm the kind of person that I don't know if it's a Virgo in me, but I'll have plan A, B, C, especially since becoming a mom. I'll always have plan A, B, C. But for myself and my own achievements, I'm trying to revert to who I was before. Before kids, before having other people to be responsible for, at least for my own ambitions, which is to
mhm,
only have a plan A. Because when I really stop and think about it, the times I only had plan A, like, think of a time like, for example, when I applied to grad school, everyone like, when you apply to university, people apply to multiple graduate schools.
yeah,
I applied to one program in that one school, and it was the most difficult program to get into, and the smallest program. They accept less than 10 new students a year, and I applied to the one biggest scholarship, nothing else. People are like, are you mad?" And I got them all. Now that doesn't always happen, but when I think about that versus the times I've laid plan A, B, and C and maybe ended up doing plan B or C, I don't even want to do that 6 times and be successful versus how it felt to be successful that one plan A.
yes,
That's a
yeah,
huge difference.
yeah,
And especially in terms of, again, feeding that self-confidence to continue practicing those reps to do it again the next time.
yes. Thing is, nothing is truly by chance. I truly believe when we talk about the success, especially as an entrepreneur, it's not by chance, it's by effort, right? And if you give half-ass effort, you're going to get half-ass results. Like, and I see it for myself. The moment I just do the odd email, do you want to book your next appointment today versus, okay, book online whenever you feel like it. There's a difference, right? Like, how you
Yes.
retain clients, how you obtain clients, all of that comes based on your effort. And you can't just try one time or one way and expect it to work for every person. Especially as we've entered into times where our method to acquire our potential clients, because as we talk about what we do, we acquire clients. Our
Yeah.
method to do it is not going to be the same way it used to be. Like when I was in the clinical environment, their method to acquiring, and this is, we'll say, the place that I actually didn't want to leave. My last place of working within a clinical environment. Their method to obtaining clients was through insurance companies and the yellow pages. Girl, the yellow pages. Okay.
Like the yellow page.
Hey, I don't know if it's online version now, but I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying.
I don't think no physical one, I'm dating myself big time.
Right. We're like that one? The one that one? Yeah, I realized they weren't shifting with the time. And that was also reflective as to how they were acquiring clients going forward. So for the most part, if you're good at what you do, yes, you'll get a lot of referrals, and that's how they were continuing to maintain business to some degree. But to keep you, I guess, above board, you need to acquire new, a different way, right? So, are you using social media? Are you engaging in groups? Like all these things that I think that if you're not willing to shift how you think as the times evolve, you will be left behind. I don't care what business you're in.
That's
Um,
true, and it's fundamental if you're an entrepreneur.
yes, exactly. And I actually said to a friend the other day, I said, you know, you can't tell me you, regardless of who you are and how big you think you are, that you can just do what you did yesterday and think it's going to be good enough because that's
Yeah.
not the truth, right? Because I said,
Build what you did to get you here won't get you there, right?
yeah, like McDonald's doesn't need to advertise. The Golden Arches speaks for itself every time you pass it on the friggin' road every 2 blocks. But they have social media that they put out regularly.
Mhm. They're
Wendy's,
constantly doing new campaigns, new
thank you.
partnerships,
Thank
collabs, yep.
you. So the billion plus served continues to have the billion plus served because they continue to move with the times, right? So
Yes. That is huge. The word, that struck me, and again, I'm in the synchronicity mode right now, is when you said methods, because I think you have to have structures and methods, and yet you also have to be flexible and willing to change those as well as be versatile. I love the point you made that not all clients are going to respond to the same kind of approach,
yes,
right? It's not about this is my approach and this is what I'm doing. It's
yes.
what is it that's going to work right now and who is it going to work with and how, and constantly seeking that feedback from it because as another big quote I always see is you fall to the level of your systems and your structures.
Mhm.
And, I'm laughing because as I said at the start of our conversation, I jumped out of bed like that this morning.
Yes.
So, normally we get my younger son off to the bus stop. We leave 8 a.m. for school every morning, and I never use an alarm. I wake up always usually between 6:45 and 7, no alarm. That's just how I flex. However, I've been out of sleep for days now, finally slept last night, jump out of bed at 7:43 this morning. And I'm like, "Oh, snap, everyone is asleep." So I gotta wake everybody up. I'm like, "Mark, my husband, get up, get up. Xavier, get up." At least I'd have to wake up the teenager yet because he goes to school an hour later. So I'm getting them ready, and it was amazing to me. So 7:43, we were ready to walk out the house at 7:59. And what I realized, I stopped and did a hindsight check. How did we manage this? I mean, the boy had his lunch all packed, a full lunch. He had, all of his equipment he needs for his sports practice at lunch at school. And I thought, how do we do that quickly when normally we have a whole hour more than that to get ready and sometimes still, rushing to get out the door. And I realized systems that were in place. So it
Inspiration.
worked that quickly because clothes are laid out the night before, because everybody knows what they're responsible for, because Mark had packaged snacks so that he can go in and just grab the snack and put it into his lunch bag, because we had already, had my son is spoiled and doesn't need a sandwich to save his life. He want to cook food for lunch. So the cooked food was already put away, ready to just microwave real quick and throw into his thermos. Right? The fact that I pre-make protein balls and egg bites on Sundays so that you can grab a breakfast and go really quick and still have
Wow.
something protein filled. If all those things didn't line up, there's no way we're walking out the house 15 minutes after waking up. But we did that with people in a good mood and nothing forgotten, which is nothing short of miraculous. But it really made me think of that you need to have your systems, your
In place.
structures in place. They may change, but there needs to be some. And I think that for me, I oftentimes will conflate the creative visionary part with, I don't like structure, so I don't need it because I'm a creative visionary, right? It's like, no, you want the creative vision to come to life, you better build some good structures to
Yes.
support
And you know what? I'm used to being the person that can fly off the seat of their pants. Like you know what I mean? Like I shift very well. I work well under pressure. Most people may think I'm like well prepared in a certain thing, but I'm able to just pull it off. But I recognize while I am successful in doing things that way, it has also created this level of procrastination and many other things that I've seen in my life. And I don't like the pattern that it has created because in some way you, it will catch up to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's your thing as simple as your marketing, your accounting, especially as an entrepreneur, it will catch up to you, right?
Learning all that.
Yeah. But, I've spent like the first week between last week and up until now, it just putting systems in place for my shift that I'm making within my business. It's like uh, pre-creating my content so everything's in place. I know Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this is going out. This newsletter is coming out. That like, but it's refreshing when you see it's done. In the moment, you're
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, why did I commit to this? But once it's done, the whole thing flows, right? Because like for me, when we talk about content, my visibility keeps me in mind to my potential client.
Right.
So you may not necessarily need to book a massage today, but the moment you think you need a massage, you think of me.
Jessica. Yeah.
Right. Because you see me, whether I'm doing a dance, I'm laughing, or I'm teaching you something, I'm there, right? Like there's a reason why consistency is key. Even if we take away the fact that you want 10,000 followers and all that stuff, consistency is key because your potential client is right in front of you. You just don't know it, right?
Yep. No, I really appreciate that. And you know what? The place I wanted to make sure that we get to, and I think is a good place to, start to get to our bar ending on, is the fact that people just before logging on to record this podcast today, I see a notification pop up on Instagram about this lady having a new business. I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. Minutes before we're going to do a podcast, you just pop up on IG with a whole new business. Tell us about this business, please, Jessica.
So I wouldn't necessarily call it a business, but what I've realized is, I like to share elements of who I am on social media, but I realize, you know what, as much as I want to share it, so such as my travel and my food experiences, I don't want it to cloud my business page.
But my Mars stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I intentionally removed it. Not that I can't incorporate, because this is when we talk about what you can do with social media and how we can make things intertwine. I can collaborate with myself every so often that you do get a piece of me. But
Mhm.
let's just say I decided to get greedy and I went out to eat for the last month. I went out 5 times. I don't want food reels in that feed overwhelming what you see to be my business,
Yes.
because as I started to take a true I guess review of my platform, I said it needs to be clear what it is that you're coming to my page for. So
Mhm.
as I'm cleaning it up, because this is a work in progress, so as I clean it up, I want you to look and see, okay, she's about massage, forget about the title, just by looking at images, can you
Yeah.
tell what my page is about? So this
That's
is
a good
why I
point.
said, okay, let me separate. And if by chance I get a little bit of a brand deal or a
Ready?
trip there and here and there, I'm about to take it. So this is why that page was created, because I love a little bit of everything. To say that I'm one person that does one thing, that's not me. I
Yeah.
I need, again, we'll call it the crazy that I talked about. I need different things on the go for me to feel whole. The moment I'm
Yes.
doing one thing, I'm like, something's wrong.
I'm completely with you on that. That's how I knew I was never gonna be in a 9 to 5 for my whole life. I knew that wasn't gonna work out for me
Right.
because variety is a spice of life, and if I think about when I left corporate, one of the push factors was, "You're trying to do too much. We just want you to do this." I'm like, "No, I can't. Can't. If you just want me to do this, I need to be out of here."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Don't try to cage this animal. Like, let us loose.
Right? That is it, and you know what? I can't not say to everybody watching, listen, Jessica, not only the epitome of the entrepreneurial mindset, but she is also the work hard, play hard icon, okay? So, there
Balance.
it is all about the balance, and I can't say that I know anyone more so than you that I've always felt a kindred spirit in when it comes to work hard, play hard. So Jessica has, delightfully taken me to carnivals in different parts of the world. We've tripped back from here to Trinidad to Barbados, and I'm sure we're gonna do it again. So she's gonna get that brand partnership and we're gonna go to Grenada and play
We're
bass again. I
we're
know it's gonna
going places. We're going places. They need us there.
exactly, exactly. Well, as I said, I'm going to take a quick second and
Okay.
do the shuffle up with our deck here. So this tarot deck is the same one I've been using, but I haven't used it for the past few interviews. So I'm kind of bringing it back in because I thought with today's topic could be something interesting. So I always show that I'm shuffling on camera because I never know what card's going to come up, but it's a beautiful deck with representations from around the world, not just a classic tarot. We got the Nine of Swords. So in a traditional pack, the Nine of Swords is a real scary looking card. And they always, funny enough, call it the Virgo card. So it's a card of worry and anxiety. So it's a card that typically has someone lying in bed with nine swords above them, and they look like they're afraid that these swords are going to fall into them. I
Okay.
like that this one's a little bit different because I know this one is patterned off the Oracle at Delphi, the Greek one. And it's off the Greek myth where the oracle tells him that his newborn child is one day going to usurp him. And I forget who he is. He's one of those Greek heroes. Not Homer. It's not one of those big ones though. But he fears this power being taken from him by his own child and murders his son to protect his power,
Okay.
which is the most horrible self-fulfilling prophecy ever. The card though, and the message I think that they use because they take world fairy tales and folk tales to illustrate the traditional tarot stories in this particular deck. What they're trying to tell you, I think, is the Nine of Swords being about anxiety and worry is, you know what? You're just going to manifest that. You're projecting into the future, right? Because another way to read what the oracle said would have been don't raise your son in such a way that he's going to hate you and want to usurp your power. But no, you take it as I'm gonna make this anxiety real and manifest it, so I'm gonna kill the child. Like, it's an extreme measure, and I think that is a very appropriate card to pull today because that's the fear. That's the fear of making that side hustle your main gig. That's the fear of really putting yourself out there and committing 100%, being vulnerable and recognizing, "I might fail. This might not right? And unlike Jessica, the first time I tried to strike out as an entrepreneur, it failed. I failed quite miserably. I learned a hell of a lot and have come back real different now. And so it's, it's that old you either win or you learn something so that you can win later. And so I think that card is actually a very important one to come out today to call out the fears. If you're someone watching this, taking this in and thinking, I've been wanting to start my own business, do my own thing, be an entrepreneur, and that fear's been holding you back, I think that card is really, that's your poke to say, don't you can manifest that or you can do as Jessica does and manifest this isn't just gonna be good, this is gonna be great, and therefore I gotta commit myself to it 110%.
Listen, I'm here to help anybody that has that vision for something new or that they want to make their transition to. But I will say, just as you mentioned, what this card means. This morning, I had my appointment with my accountant. The fear, the fear of where this is going to go. But I intentionally set that up because my plan was I'm about to make more money this year.
Mm,
That is why I set that meeting up. I needed to make sure that he was in place the way I needed him to because I already knew the next step was going to be more.
setting up structures with confidence,
Yeah, exactly that.
changing the approach, that's
Yeah,
a perfect action, a tangible action that demonstrates all the stuff we're talking about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I know calling my accountant is not top of my list for something that makes me feel good. She came into this interview, folks, and she's like, I'm feeling sense of achievement. I just talked to my accountant. I'm like, not usually the way I would describe how I feel right after talking to my accountant, but
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
I know.
Absolutely true, because she's in a place where she's putting new systems in place for that new success that she knows. She doesn't hope, she doesn't pray, she doesn't make plan B in case it doesn't happen. She knows it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's huge.
yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jessica. This has been a fantastic time spent on today's pod. I hope that everyone listening has gotten some enrichment. I mean, with Jessica, there's always going to be some zest. So it's more of a margarita than a lemonade day. And I do It's a little bit spicy. And I hope that, you got something that you can maybe reflect on, maybe share with someone else. And especially, I hope that you do come back and drop in for some more refreshment on another upcoming episode. So, again, my humble reminder, if you did enjoy it, to please like, and if you haven't already, to consider subscribing, joining our little community, giving any feedback on things that you would love to see in the future, stuff that really resonated for you that we can expand on here at the Curious Coaches Lemonade Stand. And more than anything, I want to wish everybody a happy, prosperous, and authentic, the big word for me, 2026 ahead. So thanks again, Jess. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
All right. Take care, all.
Take care.